So when I walk into the hospital or a clinic or anything medical business related, I have total confidence. I'm very articulate. I'm able to be loose. I can be the guy that I want to be. And what I notice is that when I enter into like a group of people that I consider like really cool, I find that I get triggered and get pulled back into kind of this lame middle school, high school kid, and I don't have the I don't have the same gravitas or the same demeanor, the same ability to communicate that I do when I'm in the hospital. So I'm just curious about is this teen, is this wounded child? Because I mean, it's obvious to me that's the number one area of benefit I could write corrections for.
Oh, so the area that you're noticing is triggering is social relationships, or particularly when approaching females.
Group social situations. Actually, less so when approaching females.
So it's social. So basically, I want you to understand, like, there's particular triggering that's like romantic related, that's social, and then there's also triggering that's like just social relationships.
I think they're kind of overlapping.
Yes, they are, and that's why I'm asking that question. So basically what I'm saying is I would kind of look at it as like when I'm socializing. Like, to frame it for yourself is like when I'm being social and I'm approaching a group of people. And then you said something important, which was that when you think they're cool. So like when you have an idea that they're cool. And so that's like a window into kind of the way that you're triggered by it. And it's no accident that you feel like you're an awkward kid in junior high, because that's actually like who's probably showing up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So the first part is that if you are, so this is what I need to know. Are you engaging, or is it difficult to engage? Like, what is the actual behavior when you're in the environment?
It shuts me down. You know, normally I'm funny, I'm outgoing, I can talk about anything. It makes me self-conscious, and everything just doesn't flow the way it should.
Yeah. So basically you're shutting down, and so that is going to be closed. So in your matrix, you're going to make sure that you understand the shutdown as your team closing up. And
Okay.
so you're going to address kind of the shutting down, in other words. So you kind of need to find out a little bit from your team, basically, about like what he's telling you.
Okay.
Are you hearing any thoughts or anything whenever that goes on?
It's mostly to the effect of you're not cool enough to hang out with these kids. They're going to reject you kind of like they did in high school. You're going to be an outcast.
Well, this may sound weird to you, but that's good because it's super clear, like super clear, which is awesome, because then you have a deeper level of awareness around it, and then you can kind of go from there. So basically that exact sentence, that stuff of you're not cool enough, all that, that is your teen who's talking to you. And so, in other words, like your child could have been saying that to you, like, I'm not cool enough, like this kind of stuff. But really, it's got like a harder feel.
Oh, it's got a much harder edge to it.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure he's being a real dick about it. So basically, like, and I'm assuming it's because I believe this is the case, that this is actually really helpful for everybody, because we all go into social situations and different things where this occurs. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this. So basically, like, that you're closing up, right? Because of the shutting down. And then some of the language you're hearing, you want to try to place that in the matrix too. And really it's kind of like, saying that you have to be perfect and perfectly cool. So that language really matches up with the issue of perfection. So in other words, you're not good enough. You're a piece of crap because of this. So I would say that that's probably around perfect, being perfectly cool. And then, so you're going to capture that language the teen is telling you that you're not cool enough, and you're going to correct that.
Okay.
And then you already have some access, but you will have even larger access to what's up with your child, which is literally feeling like all the things that, it may even be the same language the teen is using, but it comes from like an inside place, like a soft child place where it's like, I'm not okay. Right? So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that it probably, most likely, what it seems like to me is that it's about being perfect and then being defective.
Okay.
It's not actually a less than. Because you're going to have this tendency, especially you guys being early in this work, to be like, oh, it's all about less than. I'm feeling less than. I just need to correct that word thing. No. You actually probably are triggered on all four core issues in this situation. So being needless in an ability to interact, being closed and shutting down, telling yourself that you're perfect, and then actually no, and then you don't have a better than over there. And then you have the child ones. So your teen is not really picking up the better than. In other words, your child is having a less than, and your teen's not picking that up. That's why you can kind of feel how intense that is.
Mm-hmm.
But in the other three, your teen has picked it up from your child and is acting out in that column. So closed, perfect, and needless. So you got to start wherever you need to start, but basically you may end up doing like, I know it sounds like a lot, but you may end up doing, if you really want to be thorough, you probably would do 3 teen corrections and 4 child corrections. But I'm not telling you have to do all that. What I'm saying is if you're in this office, that's what I would be doing with you. But what you're going to do is you're going to start with what's most triggered. And what's most triggered is the perfect thinking, that you have to be perfect. So I would do closed or perfect.
Okay.
And then see how much movement you get. And then you're going to move over to your child. Because it's going to show up. Like that's the thing is he's going to show up really intensely and you're going to feel very insecure. I just want to.
So yeah, I think that totally resonates because it does feel like there's multiple things going on. And
oh yeah, you're super triggered by this, and it's because you were teased.
Oh yeah.
So your historical data is going to be around the merciless teasing. So it may or may not involve your parents, but it definitely will involve like the group of people or the person.
Okay. No, that's really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's going to be your historical data. So perfect or closed is where I would start and then move over to your child.
Okay.
And that's not atypical. What Doug's experiencing is not atypical for anyone that's having stuff go around social situations where you're kind of shutting down. You know, the language is going to be different for each one of you, but this kind of mechanism and how this works is the same for each person. Okay.
And so, I recognize that a lot. And I know in the workshop, you're talking about how it typically is more effective if we can tie this back to experiences with our parents. I know for a lot of people, teasing tends to come more from the peer group.
Correct.
I think I may be a little bit different there, but in this case, do you think it works to start with that peer group experience?
Absolutely, because, and it's a really good question, Richard. So basically, like, it's okay you're still gonna, as long as it's 0 to 17 and it involves caregivers and or peers and even society, like messages that you get. So most effective, right? Like deepest is going to be your parents. Like for example, you're getting teased at school and then you don't say anything to your parents about it. And so like, or they don't have any idea or they're ignoring it. So like you could see that there may be a way to work with the historical data being your parents, but really it's just going to be the people that are teasing you. I mean, in chair work, and I don't do this as much anymore, but when I do chair work with people that have a lot of teasing, we would even bring in like the whole group of people. Like literally it'd be like 6 people. And it's all these like kids that tease them. And so then they talk to the group basically. So you're able to do something very similar with the correction process, what you guys have learned how to do and what you can kind of facilitate on your own with some guidance. That's why it's been developed actually. That's the whole reason. So I think it's, you know, you would want to use the peers if that's what's present. You know, you don't have to link it to your parents. You're still going to get a lot of movement, but there is a parental link and I want you to know that. You just may not know what it is. However, when you do the peer one, it may show up. Okay. And so actually like Doug and Richard, like you guys could connect a little bit even outside of this call, perhaps. I'm not telling you to do so. I'm just saying like, you know, clearly there's some similarity there with some things that occurred and it might be good for you guys to talk about it a little bit. You know, it may be helpful for each of you if you decide to do any corrections around it. I was teased unbelievably as well. It was like a little torture chamber that whole 6th grade year of junior high. So basically, like I've done quite a few corrections on that.
That helps a lot. It helps with the direction. It makes sense. I think I'm going to have to do quite a bit on this because it's probably my biggest obstacle right now.
Well, and so that's kind of why I gave you like this whole kind of plotting out of what you're dealing with. Like I want you to know what I said to you is actually how it's triggered. So just start with one. Just start with the perfect with the teen.
I'm going to try and do perfect with the teen and closed with the teen today, actually. So,
well, and what I'm saying though is just do one first.
Okay.
And I would pick perfect.
Okay.
And then kind of, because whenever you do that, the defective's going to show up, and you may want to move over to your child and do defective after that.
Yeah.
But I'm excited that you're actually going to that level of depth around what's occurring with you, so that you can actually resolve it and move forward instead of it being something that you're kind of carrying around at our age. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the help doing that, because yeah, that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool.